There is a question that has haunted geographers, philosophers, and conquerors for 3,000 years. Where does Europe end and Asia begin? The answer is here, in a city that has been the capital of three of the greatest empires in human history. In a country that is simultaneously European and Asian, ancient and modern, sacred and secular, and unlike anywhere else on Earth. This is not a country. This is the crossroads of all of human civilization. Most people think they know Turkey. They think of beaches, of kebabs, of a holiday destination. They have seen the postcards. But Turkey is not a postcard. Turkey is 10,000 years of unbroken human history compressed into a single piece of land. It is the birthplace of the world's first city. It is the land where the Trojan War was fought, where St. Paul preached, where the Ottoman Empire ruled half the known world for 6 centuries. Turkey is the country that has been conquered, rebuilt, renamed, and reborn more times than any other place on this planet. And every conqueror, the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, the Seljuks, the Ottomans, left something behind. What they left behind is what we came to find. Istanbul, the city that belongs to no single world. In the heart of Istanbul, 2 buildings face each other across a garden. One was built as a Christian cathedral in 537 AD, for 1,000 years the largest building in the world. The other was built as a mosque in 1616, its architect so determined to surpass it that he added a 6th minaret, something no mosque in the world had ever dared. The Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque. For 1,500 years, every power that controlled this city built something here to say, we arrived, we conquered, and we intend to stay forever. The Hagia Sophia has been a cathedral, a mosque, a museum, and a mosque again. Its walls hold Christian saints and Islamic prayers side by side. No building on Earth contains more history in its stones. Chai culture. Turkish tea served in tulip-shaped glasses, offered everywhere to everyone at any hour. Refusing is considered rude. Grand Bazaar. 4,000 shops, 60 streets, built in 1455, the world's oldest and largest covered market, still operating today. Bosphorus, the only strait in the world that separates two continents. 700 ships pass through daily. Hammam, Turkish bath culture dating back to Roman times, still a central part of daily life and hospitality. Every morning, millions of Istanbul's residents do something no other city on earth requires. They cross between two continents to go to work. A 15-minute ferry ride from Europe to Asia. The commute that makes all other commutes seem ordinary. Istanbul is not a city that belongs to Europe or Asia. It belongs to the idea that the two were never actually separate to begin with. Cappadocia, the landscape that shouldn't exist. Here is a valley in central Turkey where the earth forgot to follow the rules. Cappadocia. Millions of years ago, 3 volcanoes erupted and buried this landscape in ash. Over time, wind and water carved that ash into something that has no name in any geological dictionary. Tall, thin, mushroom-shaped rock formations called fairy chimneys, rising 20, 30, 40 meters from the valley floor. And then the people arrived. And they did what humans do when faced with a landscape no one has ever seen before. They moved inside it. They carved their homes, their churches, and their entire cities directly into the rock. Derinkuyu underground city. Beneath the surface of Cappadocia lies one of humanity's most extraordinary achievements and most desperate ones. Derinkuyu, an underground city carved 11 levels deep into the rock. Large enough to shelter 20,000 people, along with their livestock, their wine, their food, and their millstones. The people who built this were hiding from persecution, from invasion, from a world that wanted to destroy them. They built a city underground so complete that they could seal the entrance from the inside with a massive stone wheel and disappear from the surface of the earth entirely. And it worked. Cappadocia looks like the set of a science fiction film. The difference is that people have been living here for 10,000 years. Ephesus, the Rome that nobody remembers. 2,000 years ago, this was one of the greatest cities in the Roman Empire. A city of 250,000 people with heated public baths, a library of 12,000 scrolls, a theatre that seated 25,000, and a marble-paved main street lit by oil lamps at night. Ephesus. On this very street, St. Paul preached. The Virgin Mary is said to have spent her final years in a house on the hill above this city. And here once stood the temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So large that the Parthenon in Athens could fit inside it 4 times over. The marble is still here. The ruts carved by Roman cartwheels are still here. Walk this street, and you are walking where Roman senators walked, where ancient merchants haggled, where one of the most important cities in human history went about its daily life 2,000 years ago. Trabzon, the green secret of the Black Sea. Most people do not know that Turkey has a rainforest. They do not know that the Black Sea coast receives more rainfall than London. They have never heard of Sumela, a Greek Orthodox monastery built into a sheer cliff face in the 4th century AD. For 1,600 years, monks climbed this cliff to pray, to copy manuscripts, to hide from invaders. The frescoes on its walls, Byzantine paintings of extraordinary detail, survived persecution, war, and time itself. This is a Turkey that nobody shows in the travel brochures. Green, misty, ancient, and utterly unlike anywhere else in the country. Pamukkale, the cotton castle that defies reality. There are places on this earth that your brain refuses to process as real. Places where your first reaction is not wonder, it is disbelief. Pamukkale. In Turkish, the name means cotton castle, and standing before it, you understand why. A hillside of pure white calcium carbonate, formed over thousands of years by hot spring water cascading down the slope, terraced into hundreds of natural pools of warm blue water. The Romans found this place 2,000 years ago. They built a city on the hilltop above it, Hierapolis, and turned it into one of the greatest spa cities of the ancient world. Roman senators, gladiators, and emperors came here to bathe in these same waters. Their city is still here. Their theatre, their temples, their necropolis, the largest Roman graveyard ever found. And the water is still warm. It has never stopped flowing. Konya, the city where God and poetry are the same word. In the 13th century, a poet arrived in the city of Konya. He had walked from Persia. He had lost everything: his teacher, his closest friend, his certainty. And in that loss, he began to write. Jalal ad-Din Rumi. The poet whose words, 800 years later, are still the best-selling poetry in the United States. The man whose teaching, that love is the only path to God, has crossed every border, every religion, every century. People come here from Iran, from India, from America, from Japan, to stand before the tomb of a 13th century Anatolian poet and feel something they cannot explain. That is the power of a single human life, lived completely. Sema ceremony. Whirling dervishes, night. The Sema, the ceremony of the whirling dervishes. The right hand raised toward heaven, receiving God's grace. The left hand turned down toward the earth, giving it away. The spin representing the rotation of all things, planets, atoms, the human heart. Watch it for 5 minutes, and it is beautiful. Watch it for 30 minutes, and it becomes something else entirely. Something that reaches past your eyes and touches somewhere deeper. Antalya, where the mountains fall into the sea. The Mediterranean coast of Turkey is one of the most beautiful coastlines on Earth. But most tourists who come here see only the resorts. They miss what lies beneath them. This coast was once the heartland of the Lycian civilization, a people so advanced in democratic governance that the United States founding fathers studied their constitution when designing their own. A democracy 2,500 years ago, on these cliffs, by this sea. Walk 15 minutes from any beach resort on this coast, and you will find a Roman theatre, a Lycian rock tomb carved into a cliff, or an aqueduct still standing after 2,000 years. Turkey's ancient history is not in museums here. It is in the ground beneath your sun lounger. Antalya Old City, Kalechi, narrow streets at night. Inside Antalya's old city walls built by the Romans, reinforced by the Byzantines, decorated by the Seljuks, life goes on as it has for 2,000 years. The harbour where Roman ships once docked now floats wooden gullet boats. The streets the Romans paved are still the streets people walk tonight. Gaziantep, the city that the world eats without knowing it. There is a city in southeastern Turkey that food writers call the greatest food city in the world. Not in Turkey, in the world. And almost nobody outside the region has heard of it. Gaziantep, UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy. The city that invented baklava, the real baklava, made with Antep pistachios. The finest pistachios grown anywhere on earth, in a recipe unchanged since the Ottoman palace kitchens of the 15th century. The people of Gaziantep will tell you, without any hesitation, that baklava made anywhere else in the world is not baklava. Having tasted it here, it is very difficult to argue. Zugma Mosaic Museum. Roman mosaics. Beneath Gaziantep lies a Roman city called Zugma, buried under a reservoir when a dam was built in 2000. Before the water rose, archaeologists raced to save what they could. What they recovered was extraordinary. Thousands of square meters of Roman floor mosaics of breathtaking quality. The most famous is a fragment showing a girl's face. Her eyes, painted with a skill and emotion that makes you forget you are looking at a floor. Follow you across the room. She has been watching people walk over her for 2,000 years. Now she watches them stare back. Ankara, the capital that chose the future over the past. In 1923, after a war that should have destroyed what remained of this land, one man stood up and made a decision. He moved the capital away from Istanbul, away from the empire, away from the past, to a small city in the middle of Anatolia. And from there, he rebuilt a country. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, founder of the Turkish Republic. He abolished the Ottoman Sultanate, separated religion from government, gave women the right to vote before most of Europe, changed the alphabet, changed the calendar, changed the legal code, all within 15 years. Whether you agree with his methods or not, and history has complicated opinions. The love that ordinary Turkish people feel for this man is one of the most genuine and moving things you will encounter in this country. He promised them a future when they had almost nothing left. They have not forgotten. Museum of Anatolian Civilizations. Ankara. Ankara's greatest secret is a museum housed in a 500-year-old Ottoman marketplace. The Museum of Anatolian Civilizations, winner of the Council of Europe's Museum of the Year award, holds artifacts from 10,000 years of continuous human habitation on this land. Hittite sculptures, Phrygian gold. The world's oldest known landscape painting, 9,000 years old, showing a map of an ancient Anatolian town. Turkey's history is so deep that the museum cannot fit it all in one building. Eastern Turkey, Mount Ararat, Lake Van, the edge of the known world. In the far east of Turkey, on the border with Armenia and Iran, a mountain rises from the flat plain in a way that feels almost impossible. Too large, too perfect, too alone. Mount Ararat. The mountain that three of the world's great religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, identify as the resting place of Noah's Ark. A mountain that has been sacred for longer than the religions that worship it. A mountain so dominant in its landscape that it appears in the dreams of people who have never seen it. Lake Van, Akdamar Island, Armenian Church. In the middle of Lake Van, Turkey's largest lake, its water so alkaline that only one species of fish can survive in it. Sits a small island, and on that island, a church built in 915 AD by Armenian craftsmen whose skill has never been surpassed in stone carving. The Church of the Holy Cross on Akdamar Island, its exterior carved with scenes from the Bible in such extraordinary detail. Adam and Eve, Jonah and the whale, David and Goliath, that historians still study it today. It stands here, on its island, in its lake, beneath its mountain, one of the most moving sights in the entire country. Eastern Turkey is the part of the country that even Turkey hasn't fully explored yet. It is older than the country itself, wilder than anything in the West, and more beautiful than most people are prepared for. "10,000 years of human civilization. Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Seljuk, Ottoman, and Republic. Mountains, coasts, plateaus, and plains. Mystical poetry and ancient marble, the world's greatest baklava and its oldest rock-cut churches. Turkey is not one country. It is 10 countries that somehow agreed to share a border. And every single one of them is extraordinary. The question was, where does Europe end and Asia begin? We travelled for weeks across this country and never found the answer. Because Turkey is the answer. It always was.